WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often reviewing rare and exotic whiskeys, single cask, rare exotic, 199 bottles in the whole world. Lochindaal. What is Lochindaal? It says here, distilled at Bruichladdich. Now, if you take a look at the official Bruichladdich.com website, you'll see that there will be Bruichladdich, there will be Port Charlotte, and there will be Octomore. There is no official release from that I know of from Bruichladdich that is called Lochindaal. If I type the word Lochindaal into Whiskybase, I get over 120 different bottlings. Lochindaal is the name of independently bottled Bruichladdich with heavily peated, so in this case 50 ppm, of mainland Scottish barley with mainland peat. Lady of the Glen, Gregor Hanna. I think on this channel, at least on my German channel, I actually interviewed Gregor many years ago at a whiskey fair. Independent bottler, doing interesting, very nice things here with whiskey. And he actually now put out one of, at least I thought it was the oldest until 2 days ago, of the oldest Lochindaals there ever been in the world. So they started making Lochindaals in 2007. Now, I don't understand really why. Now, if I take a look at my book and I take a look at just the timeline here of Bruichladdich, 2000 is when Murray McDavid buys the distillery for 6.5 million pounds. All right, so in July 2001, the first distillation of Port Charlotte and Bruichladdich happened. 2002 was Octomore. Back then, 80 ppm was the most heavily peated whiskey of the world. And then they actually released the first bottlings of Port Charlotte in 2006. So Lochindaal is 2007. Is that the year they needed money? I'm asking that because money means that these are all private casks. And so these are individuals that bought casks back then in 2007, and they are now actually being bottled. Some of them waited until they're 10 years old, some were 12, 14, and now we have 16-year-old Lochindaal. Interesting enough, as I said, up until 2 days ago, a press release went through Germany and said the oldest Lochindaal fully matured in a bourbon cask to ever be released in the world. I like that little part in brackets there. To be fully matured in a bourbon cask. So this was distilled on the 29th of November 2007. This was bottled on the 11th of April 2024. It is 16 years of age, and it received a finish in a second fill Tawny port cask. I like the fact that they said second fill Tawny port. That was cask number 3372. We do have 59.4% ABV. It is a 700 milliliter bottle. And the price that I have to pay over here in Germany, 259 euros. That's a lot of money for a bottle of whiskey, in my opinion. I don't care how good it tastes, but that's that. All right, so what am I going to compare it to? Let's put this back on here. Let's see, so, that doesn't look good, does it? All right, good. I'm going to compare it to this bottle. Why this bottle? There's two reasons. First of all, I have a little bit left here for my German video, so I'll just use that. The first reason is it's a 20-year-old heavily peated 50 ppm whiskey, cask strength, small batch in this case, instead of single barrel. It's 52.8. It's 119 euros. This is 100. I'm sorry. This is 219. This is 259. I'm not used to saying 200 euros for a bottle. All right, so that's that. And the second thing is this video I released, and Andrew Symington, the owner of Ballachin, which is made at the Ederdauer Distillery, and also he owns the independent bottling line called Signatory Vintage. He actually commented on this and said, hey, Jason, we just did a run of 80 tons of peated barley. I'm like, oh, that's great. Is it the first time you've done it in a while? He says, no, we do 20,000 liters of alcohol of heavily peated a year, and we've been doing it every year now. And I was like, okay, a friend of mine, the Andre Haberecht, used to work there, And he had mentioned that there was a time where Edelredauer, Malachin did not make any peated whiskeys at all because they didn't buy the peat. It was either unavailable or what was available was so expensive they didn't do it. We actually have a distillery here in Germany called St. Kilian. They had exactly the same problem. There was a fire at Glen, and the Ellen just said, "Hey, we're going to stop releasing peated malt to anyone that does not belong to the Diageo family," and the prices of peated malt just quadrupled, maybe even 8 times the price you were paying before. And it used to be 4 times what you'd pay for unpeated, and so the prices were just skyrocketed economically, not really available. And so what happened was, and I actually got this information from Andre, is there was 1 year where there's actually time slot, usually in the summer, where they make peated whiskeys, and they just did not do that once. And a lot of other distilleries did that as well. That you just skipped that one period and kept on going with unpeated whiskeys instead of switching to peated and back to unpeated after a while. But for the last 4 years, they have been doing it. And so I got my information wrong. So sorry about that. So a little disclaimer here. If you're worried about having Balachin in 10 or 12 or 14 years, don't be worried. There was just basically one distilling season where they did not do it. And that was basically right before COVID or during COVID. And so, hey, everything was screwed up in COVID. All right, going back to this. Lochindaal. Loch means sea. And if you've ever been at the distillery, and I was at the distillery a good 2 years ago in 2022, you are at Bruichladdich, and there's a lake right across there, and it's called Indal. Put the 2 words together, Lochindaal. So, all these independently bottled Bruichladdich, 50 ppm basically, a little bit more than the normal Port Charlotte, hit the market, or they were distilled and have been hitting the market now for the last, I'm going to say, 10 years. Is that about right? When was the first Lochindaal here actually released? Let's see here, at least according to Whiskybase. There's over 100 of them, so bottled. So they were 2002. Okay, was a Lochindaal with 2009. So it's been on the market now for 15 years. Wow. So Lochindaal is really something that is known in the whiskey community of people who love Bruichladdich. So an independently bottled Bruichladdich is what they're, even 10 years ago in Germany, masters of MOS here, the Malts of Scotland actually had Lochindaal and so on. So they used to be €100, now they're 220 and so on. Andy McNeil, a independent bottler in Germany, just also bottled his 16-year-old, and it's €199. So that's actually a fairly good deal. Cheaper than this by €50. So I wish I had a bottle to compare that with, but I'm not going to go and buy that. All right. Also single cask, very, very limited, but now we can have 16-year-old Lochindaals, independently bottled of variations here. Good. Let's go over to this nose and the taste. On the nose, I do get a little bit here of a nice raspberry jam moment. That is actually that does not smell like 50 ppm, to be honest. Now there is, and I like that here, a little bit about what Lady the Glen does. It says here, recognized for producing a dry, smoky distillate with floral hints, this release is from a rare, heavily peated spirit run, which is called Lochindaal, matured in a first fill bourbon barrel with an Tawny port finish. I have bottle number 26, cask number 3372, and I should get the following tasting notes. Sea spray, okay, oyster, and charred orange. Nothing about raspberry, and I had raspberry. All right, non-chilled filtered, natural color. I like Lady the Glen. I think they could be a tad bit more inexpensive, but we were playing the game last night on a live stream I had with my guests, and it was like, guess the price of the bottle. I was always off by 20 euros. So it's like, I would pay 49 euros for that. Ah, guess what? It's 69. All right, I would pay 79. Guess what? It's 99. It was always like I'm still living in the year 2020 with our prices. I used to say I was still living in the year 2016, but at least I've gone further here. That's when I started with my whiskey channel, by the way. Okay. This has much more of that ashtray, much more of that deep, dark fire pit ash is what I'm getting here. This is a very interesting and nice whiskey. I like it. Now, interesting enough, there is no desire to actually dilute this with water. I did this with my German video. It's like, I just forgot to put water in it. It just was, it's just so tasty, wonderful. It's Bruichladdich at its best with a little bit of that port cask finish involved in there. That's very, very, very nice. Now, I am not the peat head. I am not the super peat head. And yet I bought this bottle. I did a bottle share. Luckily, it didn't go as well as I thought. It's a little too expensive. But one guy said, oh, I want the rest of your bottle, Jason. I said, there's like 45 centiliters left. I'll take everything you have. And I'm not even sure how many of the 199 bottles made it over to Germany. I do know the importer. Actually, just 2 days ago, I was in the same whiskey fair location. They were on the other side of the room, and I could have asked. I just forgot. I would guess there's maybe 18 bottles of all of this in total in Germany. It could be more. It could be 36. But this is a 199 bottles for the world. All right. And so who knows? Very, very, very interesting. As I said, I'm going to give it a C+, B- for taste. I like. Just as a comparison, I did like this, but in comparison, this has much more of the ash. This is wow, that's a lot of peat smoke. Jason not happy. Jason happier. This reminds me of the level of peatiness of a Ben Romach, of a Highland Park, remember the good Taliscas in the old days when we could pay for them and we liked them? That's what this ppm level is for me. Now, am I happy with the price? No. Am I off by 20 euros? No. I would never go out there and buy this bottle just for fun for me for 259 euros. I actually did an order at this whiskey importer, and I was Jason, I'm sorry. You always have to order at least, let's say 250 euros. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I've ordered but with 6-8 times with you. He said, yeah, every time it's been over 250. Hey, this time you're missing 20, 30 euros. And I just looked at the list and it was like new. It was like Lochindaal. Oh, okay, I'll just buy that. And so I had another bottle worth two. I doubled my order, my purchase price with this one bottle, basically. He was happy. I was happy. I thought a lot of people in my community would be happy to have a sample of this as well, because this is not something you normally go out and buy for yourself. This is something you have a little dram at the whiskey fair, or you can buy a little sample and enjoy like that. And yeah, it worked out just fine for all of us. No, this is a D minus for price. Yes, Jason, it's one, if not the oldest 16-year-old Lochindaal of the world with a port finish. Yay! I don't care. Would I really pay this much money for this flavor experience? No. But that's me. But it is a very, very good Bruichladdich. Much better than, I did not like this. The 18-year-old, I did not like the packaging. I did not like the taste of this. I did not like the barrels that were online under the bottle code. One guy actually wrote, Jason, don't you know that they have a vatting tank and they just pour the barrels in there and then they bottle a certain amount, leave a certain amount in the vatting tank and then fill it with the next barrels? I was like, how can you have a bottle code with the exact number of barrels if you're doing it like that? I don't get this. I really don't. All right. I have the feeling that the Bruichladdich 18 was just the bottles, just the barrels they had left over there, and just put them together and brought something on the market for a good price at the moment. So this was, someone bought a cask back then and they just kept it and they re-racked it, and now we have a wonderful, wonderful example of what 2007 Lochindaal can be like. 100 euros less, I might think about it, but even that, I'm gonna go, I don't think so. I'm just a cheapskate with whiskey. Anything over 150 euros, 100 euros, 150, it's just not worth it. This is about 15 euros a year. I did just buy 2 whiskeys from the UK, from the Whiskey Exchange. No, that's not right, from the Royal Mile whiskey. And by the time they made it over to me in Germany, I paid 8 euros shipping per bottle. So I had 4 bottles in there, so it was 30 euros for shipping, so 780 or whatever. And then I paid on top of that 113 euros for tariffs, for excise tax and everything involved with that. So it was 150 euros to send over 200 euros of whiskey. And the bottle turned in something I could buy in the States for 59 euros, $59 turned into 119 euros. No. But I did it. I'm just as crazy as someone who's going to buy this because they have a passion for the whiskey. They really, the heart beats higher when they hear Lochindaal, 16-year-old, second filled Tawny port finish, single cask, 59.4% ABV. Ta-da! And even maybe later the Glen might be a reason to buy it as well. So sometimes our brain just shuts off when we hear certain facts and figures and we just say, take my money. So my first question is, what is your favorite independently bottled Islay whiskey? So second question is, what is your favorite Bruichladdich product? Is it a Bruichladdich? Is it a Port Charlotte? Is it a Octomore? And the last question I have, if you can't answer those two, what is your favorite cask strength Islay whiskey? So my answer is always Bunnahabhain 2022 cask strength 12-year-old. Ah, yeah, that's so good. What's yours? So what's your favorite independently bottled Bruichladdich? Not that many out there. Maybe 5 people can answer that question of the people that watch this video. What's your favorite product from Bruichladdich? A lot of people should be able to answer that. And to make it a little bit more interesting, if you don't have a favorite Bruichladdich, what is your favorite cask strength barrel proof whiskey from Islay? Thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and telling others about this crazy guy over in Germany, often reviewing whiskey you'll never ever see, let alone get your hands on. Bye-bye.